1. So I've been the front desk manager for about 3 months now, and while I was a regular front desk agent, they got rid of Employee of the Month, because I won it every month for a year and a half, and my coworkers got upset and called it rigged. I live to serve. It's why I love the industry. I am practically unable to be rude to guests, and anyone who's ever worked with me knows this, including my boss. I've worked with this GM at another hotel, and he sniped me when he came to the one we work at now. He told me he respected my work ethic, and that I'd be the best front desk manager he may ever have. That, plus a nice pay increase, made me happy to follow him. Although this is weird, I'm gonna stick it out and chalk it up to misunderstanding on his end. Gentleman comes in. Hello, sir, are you ready to check in? Yes. Great, and your last name? It's Man. Me not seeing a reservation with this name. I don't see it here. Is there any other name it would be under? Maybe Mrs. Woman? She's my wife. Is Mrs. Woman here with you? No, she's traveling someplace else and is on a plane. Me not even bothering to check ID at this point. Unfortunately, I am unable to check in anyone whose name does not match the one on file. Then both of us at the same time say, if my wife calls and has my name, is that okay? But if your wife calls, she can add your name to the reservation. Sorry for interrupting, but yes, that's correct. Okay, sounds good. I have to leave for a while, and I'll have her call before I'm back. As he turns to leave, I say, I apologize for the inconvenience, sir. And Mr. Man, now walking out the doors, no worries, brother. In NorCal, we often say no worries instead of no problem. A half hour later, I get a call from the guest relations department asking me to change the name on file, and when a manager will be in. I obviously comply and change the name on file and inform them when the manager is in next. A half hour after that, my manager starts texting me asking me what happened with the reservation for Mrs. Woman. I let him know that it was only the husband, and that he declared he had a different last name and that his wife wasn't even coming to the property. My manager said, well, they said you were very rude and refused to check her husband in. I'm okay with you allowing people's spouses into the room from now on, for the record. I then say, after watching our very high-quality cameras with very high-quality audio, the interaction happened from this time to this time. I encourage you to watch it and see. He had a different last name, and I apologize for the inconvenience. I didn't offer to have him wait in the lobby because he already stated he is leaving, and I don't give him an 1800 number to call because he states his wife will call us, both of which are standard to do in this situation. You're not in trouble, but I expect the front desk manager to be better. Start allowing people with the same last name to check into reservations. Glad he's checked in and is taken care of. I'm slapping myself to make sure I'm not in a weird dream state. He is still yet to return and check in. I do not feel comfortable bending this rule, as had I checked him in, and it became a security concern, I'd be in legal trouble and not just a minor complaint. But we can discuss it on Monday when you're in office. 2. So I work in this 4-star hotel, Middle Europe, second largest city in my country. We have around 110 rooms. We work 12-hour shifts. Porter leaves before 4 p.m. and housekeeping at 5 p.m. After that, you're on your own. I started working here right after high school. Mind you, every side job I had was in hospitality, so I thought I was prepared. Personally, I think the hotel is trashy and not worth the money, but the GM couldn't care less, it seems. Nothing works properly here. The AC, heating, windows, Wi-Fi, you name it. Housekeeping management, if you could call them that, think that they're better than everyone here, even though the rooms are dirty. There's dust everywhere in the rooms. I understand that it's not an easy job, but somehow every time they fuck up they manage to blame it on front desk, or literally anyone else. Like people not having extra beds in their rooms because front desk probably didn't tell us. Even though we print every special request guests may have. The maids take stuff from many bars and then blame the students working here for not refilling them properly. Also, if a guest smokes in the room, somehow it's our fault, because we should have known they would smoke in the room and we shouldn't have given them the room. As we all know, reception takes blame for everything that was wrong with the guest stay, which is understandable. but most of the things could have been prevented. GM knows about some rooms having problems with the Wi-Fi or heating, but full hotel is better than not using a few rooms less than the capacity. Also, the front desk is the only department that speaks English, so we are also kinda like portable translators. The big bonus is we do night shifts all alone, so all guest requests, except room service, are our problem. No porter, no security guard, just one receptionist. We are all female. The hotel is pretty close to the main train station and non-stop pubs, where every weirdo is. I've had crackheads screaming at me at 4 a.m., a guy trying to sell me stolen perfumes, homeless people refusing to leave the lobby, drunk guy peeing on the floor in front of the front desk, guy calling me a rude name that starts with R for not letting him sleep in the lobby, and I'm just so tired. Even when we report every complaint, no one cares and we're just left to deal with angry guests. GM doesn't want to pay for a security guard. He thinks it's unnecessary even though he knows we don't feel safe here. Even the thought of another night shift makes me sick to my stomach. When I started working here, I always tried to help everyone even if they weren't a guest. And you know what? I couldn't care less now. Every time I helped someone, they wanted more and felt entitled to my help. Now I just feel like a shell of a person who hates everyone and everything. 3. I am a 31-year-old woman. Have been literally the only housekeeper here at my stupid little extended stay hotel hell in Louisiana for almost 2 years now. Well, recently I've been looking for another job because I cannot stand this place and everyone in it. This place is not professional whatsoever, and I often feel like I'm left in the damn Twilight Zone because these people do things that just don't make sense to me. My manager, 70-ish male, is the slowest, most idiotic excuse for a manager I've ever had to deal with. He lives on site rent-free, in the owner's old apartment that's been pimped out. When you are inside, it looks nothing like what the rest of the dumpster fire looks like. Huge bathroom with a jacuzzi tub, huge walk-in shower, multiple big closets, enclosed patio, 3 bathrooms. I mean, the place is like a house that's been disguised to look like a dumpy hotel from looking at it from the outside. Next, there's coworker number 1, a 55-year-old woman, who is the laziest, grossest, most conniving troll I've ever known. For starters, when I got hired on, she treated me like I was her own personal slave. Literally barking orders, not being helpful to actually train me or the other girl who was hired on with me at the same time. And the best part is, she is absolutely clueless. She doesn't actually clean anything in the rooms. She would tell me to reuse the sheets and just make the beds look nice if it looked like they haven't been slept in. She would never wash comforters, just top-notch gross bitch. Then she was whoring around for pain pills and got scabies, which is highly contagious. I spoke up and told my manager I didn't want to be in the same room as her until she's clear from all that. She had to quarantine herself in her rent-free apartment for 2 weeks. Then, when that was over, the bitch had the nerve to be telling people that I didn't even have scabies. The manager and myself lied to make me have to not work. I didn't get paid for 2 weeks because of them. When I personally read her fucking discharge papers from the urgent care she went to, clearly stating that she had scabies, and saw all the shit she got prescribed for it, why would they write you a script for something you didn't have? I was thinking about my own health, whore. One time, she stole over half of my brand new cleaning supplies that I bought with my own money. I had it all in a Walmart bag in the commercial laundry room and was lying to my manager, saying she thought it was trash and threw it away mistakenly. She told my manager I should check the dumpsters. I wouldn't let it go, and I messaged her to let her know that I'm not an idiot, and there was no way it could have been mistaken for garbage, and that she was a raggedy hoe for taking that from me when I make $11 an hour. Well, my manager got wind of the texts I sent to her and told me if I don't apologize to her, then I would be fired. He knows she stole from me. He told me, "Your job is in her hands." I'm left in the Twilight Zone because in what world would you get robbed by someone who got caught 100% without a doubt, and then have to apologize to the robber or else you lose your job? So basically the manager showed me his true colors. He knows I'm a good worker, and before that incident, you could say that we were even friends. That day I knew that nobody had my back, and that she could literally steal and get flat out away with it. She just does whatever she wants without any punishment. I know in any other business she would have been fired for that. She also lives here rent-free in a room that would normally cost $1,200 or more. I also live here and pay $850 a month. The room I live in was not in any condition to be considered livable. We had to overhaul this apartment. Cleaning took us damn near a month. The owner thought she was cutting me a deal because normally this unit would go for $1,000 at best, if it were fixed up. Yes, some deal when we had to work our asses off to make it move-in ready. The next piece of shit employee is coworker number 2, a 24-year-old man. His only job is to empty the 4 garage cans in the common areas and pick up litter. He not only doesn't do that, ever, but he gets $400 off his rent for it. At one point the job was offered to my spouse. He gladly accepted it, because it's not a lot to do and $400 off our rent would have been a godsend to us. Well, the day before he was set to start doing the job, coworker 2 called the owner saying he changed his mind and decided to keep the job, only to never actually do it. The owner, a 65-year-old woman, just allows these pieces of shit to not do their jobs, giving them maximum rewards and benefits. I've been the only housekeeper cleaning every room by myself for 2 years now. I don't have a master key, but both coworkers 1 and 2 have one. Why on earth would coworker 2 need one to empty garbage cans that are outside? Because disorder, I guess. Each day the manager has to open each door to every room I clean, going on 2 years now, because the owner doesn't want me to have a master key, when I'm the only person doing any real work around here. God forbid anything should be easy going around here. This place is a goddamn joke, and I hope someone sets it on fire or an asteroid hits it. I can't do this anymore. I'm doing the job of 5 people. I also do all the laundry because nobody else does a single thing, for $11 an hour. I'm the only employee who works here, yet has to pay full price each month. I hope karma gets these people hard. Rant over. 4. So, it had been my first day working as a new front desk lead, so I was tasked to supervise bits of AM and PF's shift that day, as well as the housekeepers, though they have their own HH. I had been in the laundry room talking with some of the housekeepers when the houseman runs in and shouts my name. I turn to him and he is motioning outside and saying a guest is walking around without clothes. There is a bit of a language barrier between the two of us since he only speaks Spanish and I myself English, so I misunderstood him at first. He had to reiterate that a guest was walking around with no clothes. I asked the houseman, "No underwear or anything?" He just nodded. I threw him a towel and I grabbed a comforter, and the both of us rushed out into the lobby. Once the two of us reached the lobby area, the naked guest was walking back inside the hotel, previously being outside the hotel. AM Shift had turned around and was laughing at the situation, but she was covering her eyes as well. Our houseman rushed over to the naked guest and handed him a towel. Once he wrapped the towel around his waist, I swooped in and covered him with the comforter. I had been lucky enough not to see any genitalia, and the AM Shift told me she was not so lucky. I had let the guest know that he was supposed to check out today, and it's almost 12 p.m., and that he should have been out a while ago. He nodded at me silently, and I made the mistake of letting him go. As I was walking to the front desk, the naked guest had started to use the comforter as a cape, jumping around like a spaceman, in the process loosening the towel. I turned over to AM Shift and she just gave me a dry look. Me, personally, I would not be trying to cover him. We need to call the police. I had pulled my phone out at this point and nodded, "Yeah, I'm calling them now." I had informed the police officer of the situation, and she let me know that a couple of other people had called about the situation and that officers were en route. Once I got off the phone, I looked up and saw the naked guest had vanished, leaving behind the comforter. Our houseman also went missing. I had learned after the fact that he had basically been chasing the naked guest around the hotel with a towel, trying to cover him up. I was talking with the AM shift about the situation, who the guest was, what room he is in, and if there had been anything posted of him the night before, which there was. Our night auditor had posted a small bit about him, just detailing the check-in experience. She reported that he had seemed out of it, and asked if we had weed behind the counter or in the back office. He also needed help finding the elevator, and overall just had warned us of this guest. I had noticed the unsuspecting and naked guest was nakedly getting coffee from the public coffee station. Brave. I grabbed the abandoned comforter with the plan to ambush him, though at this time an officer came in. I sat the comforter down on the bench in the lobby and started to speak with the officer, letting him know details about the guest. He grabbed the comforter and walked up to the naked guest, wrapping him up in the comforter and sitting him down at one of the dining tables. The officer started to ask the naked guest some of the following questions. Do you know where you are? No. Do you know you're naked in a hotel? Yeah. You know you aren't allowed to be naked here. Well, I'm a nudist, so it's okay. Sir, just because you're a nudist doesn't mean you can be naked in public areas. You can be naked in the privacy of your room. Well, it doesn't matter, since I'm the president. At this moment, I turn over to AM shift, just baffled about the situation, because obviously the naked guest in front is not the president, and me and AM are just laughing at the absurdity of the situation. I am suddenly reminded that I need to call AGM to let her know the police are on the property. I leave AM to cover the desk, and I go into our back office and dial the AGM. She answers the phone, though you could tell she had been sleeping blissfully just beforehand. I let her know that I had to call the police due to a guest running around the hotel naked. After what felt like a never-ending silence on the other end, she just muttered, "Okay," and hung up. I go back out to the front desk to help AM with checking out people, and instead of there being one police officer, there are now 7, just peacefully surrounding the naked guest. The police officer I first spoke to spots me and immediately shuffles over. He let me know that the naked guest had a nasty cut on his arm, and when he asked him where he got it from, he replied that he punched something in the room. The day could not get any worse at this point. Fitting myself with gloves, I grab the houseman, and the two of us head up the elevator to the naked guest's room. As soon as we go inside, the room is just a mess. The desk is completely flipped over, stuff all over the floor, and as soon as I turn to my left, there is just an absolutely shattered mirror. Me and the houseman start gathering all of the guest's belongings, surprisingly not much. I notice droplets of blood on the counter and swiftly turn away from them. I pick up a bandana from the couch in the room, and it feels wet under the glove. I turn the bandana around to inspect it, and it is soaked in the guest's blood. I immediately drop it and rush out of the room, quickly apologizing to the houseman. Context is I have hemophobia, the fear of blood, and it's something I just can't handle. I come back down the elevator, and the amount of police has literally doubled. Instead of there being 7 or so, there are 16 police officers and an EMS, preparing a stretcher in the lobby. I rush up to AM and let her know the mirror in the room is shattered and to charge the card on file $375. AM asks if I'm okay and mentions I look pale. Before I could say anything, a different officer comes up to me and mentions that we need to get the guest's personal belongings because they're going to take him to the hospital. I unwillingly go back upstairs with the police officer, and as the elevator is closing, I just hear the naked guest loudly threaten to unalive himself. Once we are back to the room, I ignore the bandana and pick up his wallet and phone. The officer goes to grab his clothes and mentions they're soaked. My first thought was blood, but I looked over to the bathroom and I noticed the bathtub is full of water. I point at it and let the officer know it's water. She lets me know she isn't taking the clothes because they are wet, and goes to pick up the shoes, realizing they are also wet. I urged her to take the shoes because the guy needs his shoes, man. So she hesitantly puts them in a bag with his phone, and we both head downstairs. Once we are down, thankfully the naked guest had finally been taken away at this point. I thank the officers and say goodbye. Once they leave, I immediately wipe down everything the naked guest touched. An hour or two later, I am talking with AM, informing her of what all was in the room when I get a call from my GM, who never calls me. I excuse myself and go to the back office and answer the phone. Before I can get out a hello, she asks, "Now why are you letting naked men run around my hotel?" I burst out laughing and sit down, letting her know of everything that happened. It turned out to be a three-way call between GM, AGM, and I. Both AGM and GM had let me know I have had the worst luck that week, because for 3 days in a row, excluding this one, I had to call the cops. They exclaimed to me in their whole careers they didn't have to deal with a naked guest, but my first day of being front desk lead, I get one. So, they were both just teasing me about it relentlessly, and mentioned how the next meeting GM has with her boss is going to be an interesting one. I gave Night Audit a talking to, saying that despite being front desk, she has a right to deny service. She mentioned she had felt bad for the guy, and he was harmless last night. Did mention that he had wanted to poke her nose, press the button she had quoted. 5. Lots of hotel guests were in for a conference. One night, about 10:30 p.m., a guy walks down from his room to the bellhop desk in nothing but tighty-whities, a bedsheet wrapped around his body from head to toe, and blood dripping from his face. This guy sounded out of it, either from being concussed, inebriated, high on drugs, or a mix of the three. He informed security that he and his boyfriend got into a fight. So, 2 security officers, one a supervisor, went to the room to question the other boyfriend, while another security officer waited with the bloodied boyfriend behind the bellhop desk for an ambulance to arrive. Up at the room, security was informed that the bloodied boyfriend had been passed out drunk and had crapped in one of the beds when the other boyfriend had walked into the room with his wife and 2 kids, all of whom had been enjoying a night on the town. Both men were co-workers who were in for the conference. Supposedly, the family man had given the suite room key to his boyfriend with the expectations that they do the deed during conference hours. All the while, the wife and kids explored the city during the day. Back at the bellhop desk, the security supervisor relays the discovered info to the bloodied boyfriend, which sets the guy off. He tackles the security supervisor to the ground, blood and crap stained the hotel carpet and the supervisor's suit as he finally cuffed the bloodied boyfriend. Cops are called, and the guy gets taken away before being inspected by medics. The moral of the story is, if you want to cheat on your wife with someone else in a hotel, do your business in the smaller, uglier room, and not the large, expensive suite you share with your family. I was the security that kept an eye on the guy at the bell desk. Shift change was at 11 p.m., and I sure as hell was not going to get involved in this mess. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 134. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, do hit the like button. And if you'd like early access to the video, support me on my Patreon, which is linked in the description. You'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store. If you enjoyed today's video, leave a tip. You can do that by clicking on the little heart with the $sign in the middle. But you don't have to, and you never do have to, but I appreciate it if you choose to. Okay. No other business today, for once my birthday folder is clear. So, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is key-related. Kinda, sorta, maybe. Right. I was looking through YouTube Shorts the other day, as I occasionally do, to my regret, and I found something in a comment thread. I can't even remember what video it was, but someone was talking about service personnel just walking into their house. And my brain immediately was going, well, how could that possibly happen when your door is locked? realizing that their doors were perhaps not locked. So, question for you. Whenever I come home, unless I'm going immediately out again, come home, drop bags off, go out do something else, the door gets locked. Right? So, at most, I'll come home, if I'll put the groceries away, I'll take out the trash, and the door's locked for the night. Right? Or even if I'm not going to be going out again for a few hours, the door is locked, because I don't want strangers walking into my house. It's happened once. Technically twice if you count the orange cat that walked into my house. And I don't want that happening again. I mean, I told you guys about the time I came home. The door was actually open because I was going to go take the trash out. Then a guy just walks into my house and starts asking me for directions when I tell him, get out of my house. So yeah, lock your doors when you're home. It's very easy. You put the key in and turn it, and then the door's locked. It's amazing. People can't get in the house unless they really, really want to. Bring a tank, that sort of thing. So, do you live in a place where it's normal to leave your doors unlocked? I mean, you've heard of things going back in time. Back to the days when dinosaurs roamed the earth, game and happy. And your grandparents had to walk 20 miles across glass into snow, which was also on fire, then fight a bear just to get an education. People seemingly, they tell of how you used to be able to leave your doors unlocked, which made it really easy for serial killers back in the day. So, how many of you is that normal for, to leave your door unlocked? Right? Although I have learned perhaps there's some places where maintenance people, depending on the agreement you have with what kind of rental you're in, they might have keys to your house, which I would not allow. Ick, no thank you. I also found myself wondering, if this is in the US, why don't these people get shot more? Seems like it would be something that would happen. I mean, in America, you have lots of guns, lots of burgers, and lots of coffee. So, I tend to imagine people are hyped up on coffee, which makes them angry from all the caffeine. They then shoot the people walking into their house and then celebrate with a burger. Although maybe that's a stereotype. Maybe it's 3 stereotypes. I'm hungry, I should go eat. Anyway, there was a question in there somewhere. Feel free to answer it in a comment below. And before we go, we'll have the answer of the day from a previous video. And today's answer is... And today's answer comes from Craftsman Cottage Chick. Their answer is, I love crumpets, so I'm not sure how you make your pancakes or crumpets, but to me they are nothing alike. However, crumpets and what we call English muffins only really have the baking soda versus yeast difference. And waffles are just crunchy and fancy-shaped pancakes. And then there's polenta and grits, very, very similar. Thank you for your answer, Craftsman Cottage Chick. Okay, and with that, I'm gonna head off for now, because it's the start of the week and I've got 6 more videos to record. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.